Hey guys, it's Matt again from Hedge, here to bring you another educational crypto video. Now, it's important that you stay to the end of this video so you could absorb the gist of the information I'm about to give you. And today's subject is going to be an interesting topic on NFTs. So, before we begin, I just got to say this is not financial advice. We do not accept liabilities for losses that you may incur, and all these videos are here for research, news, and educational purposes. So with that in mind, you should be able to enjoy this video. So, what are we talking about today? Today we're going to be talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, right? So these things here, they've been hyped. Everyone's talking about them, but what are they? Well, I'm about to explain it. NFT stands for non-fungible token. A digital token that's a type of cryptocurrency, much like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but unlike a standard in a Bitcoin blockchain, an NFT is unique and cannot be exchanged for a like for like, hence the non-fungible aspect, meaning that every single token is unique. Pretty easy to follow, right? Now, you're thinking, okay, all right, so this is the definition. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to break it down for you because it's a little bit more complicated than just that. Bear with me. So, basically, what they plan to do is NFTs are going to be used for verifying public proof of ownerships, meaning that it's kind of like a certificate of authenticity, as you can see right here. It's like basically they represent photos, videos, audio, and other types of digital files that are unique and that you want only certain people to be able to access and have ownership over, right? This is definitely something that's a lot to take in because you're like, well, how does that apply to my day-to-day life? Well, basically how it applies is like this. It's going to apply through allowing people to have direct ownership over their goods in a fully verifiable way. Meaning that, let's say you want to sell a painting, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't know if it's authentic or not. Well, what ends up happening is right there, you would find the authentic one, create an NFT that goes with it, and you would try to keep the NFT and the painting going together to keep the authenticity rolling, right? So that's very important to actually give basically a concept of trust and ownership to the art space. Excuse me. Now, let's say hypothetically you wanted to buy something like a collectible coin on eBay. Well, with the use of NFTs and smart contracts, that would be how you verify if they're legit or not. So you receive basically the coin with the NFT of its certificate of authenticity, and then from there what ends up happening is that once you, let's say, sell that coin as a seller, right? Let's say the guy receives it and he says it's fake. It's like no, because I sold it to you with basically the authenticity. And it goes the same the other way. Meaning if someone sells a fake coin, for example, and it's they find out that it's not real, then the escrow won't be released. And technically the whole deal will fizzle out and everyone will get pretty much back to where they were at. That's one example of an NFT used in a smart contract. I wanted to basically re-say that application of it because I mentioned it previously on smart contracts about how NFTs and smart contracts are going to be used to bring back trust in e-commerce and peer-to-peer buying and selling towards each other. Now, maybe there's an even better way of explaining it with a better understanding even of the technology, but this is the first time that I'm tackling it on the channel, and I want to provide it for you guys in a way that's easy to digest. So, one practical use case is digital art. As you can see, digital art is becoming bigger and bigger, and now it's starting to become more like collectibles, right? So these digital collectibles, are going to be big in the metaverse at some point. And these NFTs here, because they're going to be big in the metaverse, it's they're going to be like digital collectibles when that VR virtual reality is real. I could definitely see this becoming bigger and bigger because imagine having virtual art galleries and people are able to sell you an NFT that isn't just art. It could eventually become a virtual experience. You buy the NFT and you receive this virtual experience and you could experience it in the metaverse as the technology develops. Now, that's definitely one application of of it from a digital art perspective. You go further down, collectibles. That's same idea as a digital art. It's just collectibles. They're even using that for like NBA Top Shots, and it's like you collect digital moments that are like, you know, unique to their universe. The next would be something like video games. Video games are going to be huge for this, simply because what's going to happen is NFTs will be transferable to other games. So let's say in the future you have a cool skin on Counter-Strike and you want to put it on your Halo, or like a Halo gun, or you want to, you know, mess around with the skins and create unique assets that you could transfer between games, as well as like collect and have like collectability to it. That's how NFTs are going to be used in games. They want to make it so that all games will be somewhat interoperable with each other at some point or another, which will allow for a lot of microtransactions to happen on the network, which will make it profitable even for a free game in VR. Now, that's a great application, is games. Games and NFTs go hand in hand because it's going to make every game have collectability to it. And think of it this way: you buy a game, or rather you sell a game. Let's say you're Ubisoft, right? You sell a game. You could only sell it once with the expansions and this and that, and that's it. You know, there's not many people that are going to go for skins all the time. But imagine you create a universe where it's like, okay, you buy the game once. We're not going to sell you the expansions because people hate it when you do that. Imagine you buy a game and you have to buy the expansions to get the full game, and the full game is short. So it's like they're literally cutting the game in half and selling you the finished product piece by piece. And people despise that. And they're starting to realize it, for sure. Because I personally don't want to buy an unfinished game and then have to pay to finish it. This, when we start putting applications like this into gaming, it's going to be more about like the collectability of certain things in the game. So it's like, let's say there's only one skin released of this guy, and you could play as, let's say, the Lego guy in like the Star Wars Lego guy in, let's say, Gears of War. There's only one skin like that. That's unique. Someone will pay for that collectability simply because they want to have that digital flex. You know, they want to flex on people through a digital world, you know? And I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes the norm, you know, like digital status symbols. That's going to be a thing eventually. Then there's, like, as I said, games tying into virtual worlds, right? And they're talking here Bored Ape Yacht Club and Pudgy Penguins and all these things, right? And how they're entitled to certain benefits just by holding these NFTs, and how they're going to be in like a very like specific metaverse where it's like only people who hold those NFTs are allowed in. So already they've signed themselves up for status symbols. And I just got to say one thing before I continue with this. When I saw Bored Apes the first time, they were under an ETH. They were under an Ethereum. And a buddy of mine was like, yo, jump in. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know how to value the picture of an ape. Yeah. Yep. I didn't know how to value the picture of an ape. And literally watching it fly to 60 ETH, 66 ETH as the floor price for an ape, it made me realize something. It doesn't matter if I don't know how to value the product specifically for NFTs, because it's art. It'll be valued by the market accordingly of what someone's willing to pay. Now, naturally, things like that, if they hit a price like that, it's a no-brainer that it's going to end up being like a status symbol, but not just a status symbol, but like once it hits that price and people are part of an exclusive ape club, for example, the price isn't going to drop because now it's set itself. It has a reputation. It's the same with the CryptoPunks when that happened. Those things are going for so expensive right now. It's another one that I had the opportunity to buy it under an Ethereum. Whoa. NFTs, there's money in that. Not because it's not potentially a bubble. A lot of things might disappear when the NFT bubble does pop, because it's possible. We could be in a bubble. Very likely. But there are things that when it pops, they're not going anywhere. And that's going to be specifically NFTs that A, carry status, or B, are compatible to a metaverse and have application to a game or something. those are going to be the ones that are worth something. So it's either a status symbol or part of a bigger picture. From there, it all depends. And like another thing too about VR worlds, another NFT application here is Decentraland Sandbox, and there's another one that I'm going to be looking into. I think it's called Block. Hold on, I'm actually gonna look at what it's called right now. Give me one moment, because I will be covering this coin in the channel at some point, because I do think that it's gonna be big, or potentially could be big. I don't know exactly how big. Blocktopia, bam. So this is just another NFT based metaverse where they're planning to have a skyscraper that's made up of 21 levels to basically pay recognition to the 21 million Bitcoin. And they want to create like a really cool, stunning visual experience. It's backed by a few big players, but I'll get into that on another day. But keep it on your radar, Blocktopia. Now, the other thing that's great about Decentraland and Sandbox is you're buying real estate in those specific worlds, right? Now, naturally, it's like, why would I want to buy virtual real estate? That sounds a bit ridiculous. Well, I mean, realistically, it might be, but it might not be also, because you're basically allowing yourself to have ownership over the game. So eventually, people are going to want to play that game, and if it becomes big, like let's say it gets, 100 million users, or even 10 million users is pretty big, but let's say it gets that kind of user base, you're basically owning the land that they're playing on. So if they start doing microtransactions on your land because what you're doing there is cool or unique, for example, like a unique membership club or this or that or all these like cool things, then from there it actually has a pretty cool social use case, because we saw in COVID that VR is becoming more of a potential reality simply because there'll be times where we might not be able to reach each other very easily. Kind of creepy, but that's the metaverse. It's coming. It's definitely going to be a change in how we play video games and see things. Like, I don't even think we're going to see it. Like, me personally, I think that by the time I'm 35, so about 5 to 10 years roughly, in that spread, that's where we're actually going to see like the first things coming out of beta. And then, but let's say 20, 25 years in, that's when they'll tweak it to the point where it's like, really crazy. By then the metaverse will be insane. It'll be like living in an actually different reality at that point. And if we hit that point, you're owning the real estate of those realities. So that's the concept behind property ownership of property NFTs rather. Next thing that is going to revolutionize is music, because most of the time in music, record companies and Spotify and all these guys, they literally take all your profit. You will be working so hard to get that music out, and they will take it all, and you will make pennies on your music, on your soul, basically. So that's what it is. Your music is your soul. But if you're not able to take ownership over your soul because you want your music out there, then that's not exactly fair either. NFTs, let's say you decide to put out 10,000 NFTs, and each NFT has an exclusive, let's say, link to have that album. Kings of Leon basically did that. They were the first band to release an album as an NFT. And they did it basically to show that, you could have full ownership over your music and you don't need a label. You just have to get it out there. And we're living in the digital era. So getting out there and being an artist isn't as crazy now. I said it before, we're heading out of the era of necessarily needing a lot of workers, and we're heading into an era of needing more people to be more humanity. We're going to start paying more for humanity, for what makes a human tick. Creativity, art. We're going through a phase where that's going to change, because when things start getting automated, because in 5 to 10 years they will be, when that change comes, people will need basically culture. They'll need humanity. They'll literally need that, because think of it, if everything gets automated, people aren't going to be working. They're going to need something to do. This is going to be it. Film, naturally, it's kind of the same concept. You know what I mean? They're going to release NFTs that are, part of popular films just to be collectible. Memes, we've seen how memes blow up and how NFTs could be memes and how people will sell NFTs as memes because they can monetize, a good meme just like that. Sports, there's been a lot of sports, and like Dapper Labs specifically, that's Flow's blockchain, is based on like working with the NBA, and soon they're going to be doing something with the UFC too. So they have NBA Top Shot, and they're going to have basically the equivalent UFC top moments, and they're going to give you all like the top moments of all the fights throughout the year, and those are going to be collectible moments. Like, I can't wait for that to come out. That's going to be huge. Fashion. This is something that I'm kind of excited for, because this is going to be Luxo. Luxo is going to be doing digital fashion, and they're going to be doing basically NFT 2.0, which is going to be the next level of NFTs, when they're going to probably be digitally rendered to a 3D model. And that's going to be insane, because imagine you're going to a fashion show and you give, let's say, like someone, like, instead of having them in a crazy dress that takes all these fabrics and this and all that, which, is bad for the environment and wasteful and all that stuff, they're going to just slap a green screen on them, and then they're going to put the digital experience on them. And that's going to blow up fashion to another level, because it's not even going to be a fashion of, let's just say, fabrics and like whatever designs. It's going to be concepts that people are rendering on a 3D model that you're going to see on a green screen that's portrayed on these people. Like dresses that light up in flames and shoot rainbows out, and then you like turn into a flower, because they're going to have it digitally rendered to the fashion at that point. Like, fashion is going to be revolutionized by NFTs and stuff like that, simply because it's going to be part of the augmented reality. Pornography, academia, those are just two other things that are going to be regulated by NFTs, because it's going to allow people to have ownership over that. And the last thing too that is going to be changing is copyright. So NFTs are also going to give people the ability to transfer over copyright and have, their shit copywritten more easily just by having the NFT. And you could do it yourself, and that's great. That's awesome, because then from there, it's like people who have an idea, they can get it out, bang, it's done. So that's gonna be the future of NFTs, and as you can see here, it's just like a standard of, like particularly giving people ownership over their things. And once they have ownership over their things, they actually get more, like, not only more value out of it, but more of an incentive to want to do it. Because imagine most of the time people, they don't want to do art, they don't want to do this simply because it's like, oh, by the time I actually get anywhere and it's expensive, and or I might not ever make it. It's like, well, now at least you have the potential to take it all in your own hands and take advantage of the digital era. We're in a time where we can network across the world in countries that are at the opposite, like all the way far away from us, and we could build networks as simply as just communicating through an online platform. Now's the time to be an artist. You just have to be creative, and you have to be online now. So another thing too that I wanted to mention is there was a tweet, it's a rumor, saying that Visa is in the process of becoming a payment processor for OpenSea. So that could be relatively big, just because you'll be adding Visa's market cap onto OpenSea, which is just going to be huge as fuck. It's going to be really big, and more or less that's that's just the gist of what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm sure I could go deeper into detail, and I probably will in another video, on the specific applications and like more sources for what each application of NFTs will change. So this is just like the surface of a larger picture. So guys, Hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.